Hey Flosstube, it's Lori of Mischievous Stitches. I'm back this weekend to let you know what I've been up to for the past couple of weeks with my stitching. I didn't take the time to film a video last weekend. There happened to be a craft fair. It's a yearly craft fair in our city, and it ran last weekend. It's always that weekend every year, and it goes Thursday through Saturday. So Clint and I got up Saturday morning and we spent several hours there. There's, like I said, craft vendors, jewelry makers, candle makers, quilters, just plethora, soap makers, just a plethora of different types of crafts, as well as lots of food trucks, so yummy lemonades and just everything you know a craft fair to be. And we spent several hours there, and I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't bring anything home with me, but I brought lots of ideas home because I do like to craft myself. So things that I knew that I could do, I would snap little pictures of, and I have them on my phone. So a lot of it was for Christmas. So when time gets closer to Christmas and I really start getting in the spirit of Christmas, I will be making some of those crafts. But was inspired to do lots of things, saw lots of beautiful things, and just enjoyed the day with Clint. So this weekend and all through the week, I've continued to work on Smoky Mountain Christmas. I've not had the chance to work on him every night like I need to do because, as I've shared with you all before, it is a competition between Mary, Natasha, and Donna and I. And we're hoping to have this piece finished and on the wall by Christmas. Meaning finished, framed, and on the wall. I'm not sure that's going to happen for me, but I'm going to give it my best try. So I'm going to show you the pattern again. This is by Stardust. There are different printings of this by different companies. So this just happens to be the one that I have, and this is where I am. A lot of 926. I'm nowhere even done with the sky. The good thing is it's a tent stitch, so it's just one leg of the cross. But where you see the line here at the bears, that is a complete finish of page 1. So I have 2 completed pages to go, plus a partial page. Now, my pattern is printed on legal size paper, so it's a little larger. So that would be one of the reasons why it's taken me, basically 2 months to stitch just one page. But when I think about it, and that's, 2 pages, and I haven't really even hit the majority of the stitching, and the majority of the stitching is actually where I am now, in my opinion. Because, as you can see right here, my goal yesterday was to reach this beagle puppy. And Santa is holding the beagle. So Santa will be here. And then below him will be the sleigh, of course, full of toys. So there's going to be lots of color changing, that kind of thing. Where in the part I'm stitching that's taking months is not color changes. So the color changes are going to take more time. But I'm really looking forward to Santa's coat. So let me show you again. You can see his coat is a patchwork coat. There's that big tree above Santa's head, and all of that I still have to go. So even though this has taken 2 months, I think this one's going to take longer. So it's a lofty goal to set for Christmas. But I'm going to do my best. I shared on Instagram this week, last Saturday before we went to the craft show, I dropped off by the bays, 13th Colony Bay at the Framer. Those are actually 3 different pieces that some time ago when I bought the patterns by the bay, and they may still have a blog, but they had a blog and the heading for the blog was 13th Colony Bay. And I don't think it was stitched. I think it was just the patterns themselves, but it was colorized. And that was the heading for her blog. And I loved it so much, I went out and I bought those patterns, and I had stitched 2 of them, and I wanted them stitched all on one piece, just like hers, the designer's. And I bought them and finished 2, and after I started filming Flosstube, I decided to pull it out and I only had one more to go, or I think I had a little more than one. I think there was maybe some of the water that I had not finished on it. And I finished that up in 2017, and I just have not taken the time to frame it. So I dropped it off this past Saturday, and I feel like I've got the prettiest frame that I possibly could have gotten for that piece. It's just a dark wood. It looks to be aged, kind of like, I don't know, driftwood. And I can't wait to get it back and share it all with you. But I plan on entering that in to the South Carolina State Fair. Now, I decided on that piece because when I was looking over the rules for the entries for cross stitch, I was allowed to put something in as it had to be stitched within the past 3 years. And like I said, that one was completed in 2017 and I had dated it. I also, when I read up on those, two of the entries are, one would be linens and one would be round threads. And that piece is actually stitched on a round thread. It's stitched on an even weave that I had picked because I stitched it over one. So I had stitched it off 1 over 1 on 25 count even weave. So this is going to be the second piece I'm going to enter, and I stitched this last year. I actually picked this up, and I remember it's the weekend of the first Nicola Parkman class at Sassy Jack Stitchery, and we drove up to Cross Stitching Country Crafts in Johnson City, Tennessee, the day before the class, and I picked up this pattern out of the clearance bin. It was like $1, and I started it that weekend. And so this is a You and I and Friends, and I honestly do not remember the name of the pattern. I've already gifted it on, but it's full of specialty stitches. It has satin stitches, eyelets, Smyrna crosses, Cam's coils. It's also over 1 stitches. It's a beautiful piece, and I plan on entering this in as well. I do know that my friend Natasha and Karen of Karen's Handiwork, they are going to be entering pieces into the fair as well, and I hope that we all run into each other at the drop-off date. In my last video, I had a lot of responses, and what I showed was pieces that I have finished in the past that I've not fully finished, in as whether it be framing or what have you. I got lots of ideas. People passed on their opinions of what I could or couldn't, what would be available to me to use those pieces for, whether it be someone suggested using project bags for some of the smaller pieces, which I thought was a great idea, or needle books. So just bouncing ideas off of me, which I thought was great. So thank you if you were one of the ones that did that. But one of the pieces that I showed, I got lots of questions on this, and when different ones went out to find it, they could not find it. So I thought I would show it again this time. And this is actually named Charity for All. And it is a portion of the second inaugural address of Abraham Lincoln. And I stitched this some years ago. I would say at least easy 10 years ago. And I stitched it, I think there's only 3 colors called for, and they're all silks. And I did look online. I couldn't find it. I looked on Erica. This is by Erica Michaels. And I looked on her website and I couldn't find it. So last weekend, after getting that many questions about this piece, I reached out to Linda and let her know that I had showed this piece in a Flosstube and I had gotten lots of questions about it. And she stated that she had also gotten some questions, but it was no longer in print. And so to make a long story short, she has no plans of reprinting this pattern unless there is a demand for it. So if you were one of the ones that reached out and said, hey, what's the name of that pattern? I'd really love to stitch it. I'm going to link Erica Michaels, the designer, her name is Linda. I'm going to link below not only her website, but her Facebook page. So if you're interested in her reprinting this pattern, or you're wanting to get your little stitchy hands on a copy, she's only going to reprint this, and this is not what she's saying, this is what I'm saying. She's only going to reprint it if there's a demand for it, because let's face it, cross-stitch designers are not millionaires. And if it is going to be fiscally to her benefit to print this again because of the demand for it. That's the only way she's going to print it. So if you are interested in this piece, I'm going to link it below. Just reach out to her and say, hey, I'm Jane Doe. I saw, I'm interested in stitching Charity for All. So there's that. Also this week I've tried to watch a little bit of Flosstube, and I have run across two that I wanted to mention. One was Christy of Christy Stitches. If you're active on Instagram, I'm sure at some point you've run across Christy there. She and I have very similar tastes in stitching, and we've chatted back and forth over the past couple of years since my doing Flosstube. She's sweet as pie. She has several children, and like I said, we have similar stitch tastes, and you're going to love her. So I'm going to link her below. I don't want to tell you too much about her because I want you to go meet her for yourself. Give her a subscribe and welcome her to Flosstube. And if you really want to be enabled by the likes of Carol Saltbox Stitcher or Nicole of Nicole's Needlework or Teresa Kitten Stitcher, if they're ones that their stitching really speaks to you, you may want to step out and see Brenda Sampler Stitcher and the Serial Starter. I am going to link them below as well. Shortly before starting this video, I noticed that their second video popped out today, and I had to give it a watch before I started the video. So they only have 2 videos out, and again, Christy has just one, but I'm going to link them all below so you can go reach out and give those 3 ladies a welcome to Flosstube because you're going to love them. Aside from that, I've made no purchases. I'm trying to be a little better about that. It's kind of hard because I don't, stitching is my drug, so sometimes, some days at work, you just need a fix. And I don't want food to be that fix, so it's actually cross-stitch, but I have way more to stitch than I ever could stitch, so I'm trying to just be a little more responsible and be a little more disciplined in my purchasing. So anyway, so I have nothing to show, even though I've watched these 2 beautiful Flosstube videos, or 3 if you count the one I watched today, and have been enabled several times. I'm showing restraint. So I'm going to jump on to something a little more serious. I am going to do my best to, I just want to give my thanks to many of you. And if you've watched my videos for a while, many of you know I lost my grandson in January of 2018, so last year. So last year was a rough year. And just within the past few months have I felt more like myself. Flashback to December of last year, I received something unexpected in the mail, and I'm going to share it with you in just a moment, but it was a quilt that that's a great way, that garage door is a great way to break up the seriousness that I was feeling. Clint says hello. So, anyway, I've lost my train of thought. My grandson passed away unexpectedly, and so December of last year, on what was a bad day, a bad work day, I received a quilt in the mail, and like many of you have said here, it seems like stitchy gifts, they always come, or gifts always come right when you need them. And that was a particularly rough work day, and when I opened it up and realized what it was I was receiving, I actually sat down in my kitchen floor and sobbed. I haven't shown it as of yet because inside the package it stated that there would be another one coming in behind that one, that the one that I received in December was for me, and there would be another one coming for my daughter. And I've gotten lots of questions about the quilts over the past year. And all I've got to say about that is they've been received, and the love that went into the stitching of these pieces, the sympathy and the empathy, it was felt. And that was the intended from all of you. And I just wanted to say thank you. I did ask for the names and addresses of the stitchers, and I do have a good many of them. And I don't know if doing the video is the right thing or the wrong thing to do, but I wanted the stitchers of this piece, I wanted their love to be shown, and I wanted all of you to hear in my voice and see in my face and in my eyes how much these two pieces meant to me. So I'm going to read the names. I'm not going to read your last names, but I'm going to read your names. Some of the pieces, when I show it to you, that are on the quilt, you will see there's names on them. Other pieces there are not. So some I know the stitchers who have stitched the actual pieces, and others I do not. But all in all, it was a gift of love and a gift of friendship and a gift of compassion for me and my daughter and our families. And I just want y'all to know how much they are appreciated. So I'm going to read each of the quilts have a tag on the back, and they're the same. They have the names of those that have stitched a piece for these quilts. I received the second quilt a little over a week ago, and I was hoping to give that quilt, and that was my daughter's quilt, and I was hoping to give it to her last weekend and maybe do a video with her. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it to dinner, but I started thinking about it, and I don't think that was something that she could do. But just know that it's very much appreciated. It will very much be appreciated when she receives it. So I'm going to read off those names now. Darlene, Melissa, Letitia, Natasha, Marlene, Emily, Arlene, Karen, Laura, Danielle, Michelle, McKenna, Sharon, Jen, Caroline, Kathy, Dina, Michelle, Stephanie, Mary, Becca, Karen, Megan, Vanna, Diana, Lisa, Steph, Pam, Jessie Marie, Lorraine, Donna, Sim, Caroline, Melanie, and quilted by Cindy and Stephanie. So I'm going to share with you now the first quilt, and this is the piece that was gifted to me. There's a couple of these there's one in particular right here that I watched this sweet lady stitch on Instagram and didn't know it was for this quilt or for a quilt. You see, here's my grandson's name. And this one too. I know the sweet stitcher for this one because I watched her stitch it because I have a love of willow trees. And I'm going to go over to the second one, and this one is for my daughter Jordan. And just know her favorite color is blue. This one's a little wider than the other one, so I'm going to lean back a little further. Did I get them all in there? I don't know who stitched this one. But this is my grandson's name, and I remember I may have told the story. I probably had to tell the story online or on Flosstube at some point, that there was a book that we read over and over and over to him. It was his favorite book, and it was called The Little Blue Truck, and how the little blue truck goes through the countryside helping the farm animals. And so that one's a sweet one to me. I don't I want to say thanks again on how much it's meant to me to receive these two quilts. I'm at a loss for words. I'm rarely at a loss for words. I have learned a lot about myself this past year. I've learned a lot about my daughter. I see myself in her, a lot of me in her. I see those traits that are mine, some of them not being good, as her going through this and trying to handle it on her own. She's strong. That one's strong. But we all know those that are strong on the outside are usually the ones that are just falling apart on the inside. She's doing well. Her and her husband, they've very much been grieving together, which is I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that it's brought them close together, and it's strengthened their love for one another. It has been a horrible year. Last year was a horrible year. My father got sick just within a few months of Kanan passing away, so I think I was on autopilot for the majority of last year. I know that I had signed up for lots of retreats and didn't go to one, spent a lot of money, and I just basically threw it away. But I had to take care of myself. But I can say, and I've said before, that I'm a woman of faith, so I could see God then, and I can see now looking back that He was with us. So like I said, I've changed a lot, matured a lot. But I'd give back every piece of cross stitch in this room, or even give my own life if I could bring that little guy back. So we'll just leave it there. Once again, just thank you, ladies. Thank every single one of you for your love and your friendship. And I hope that you can see that friendship coming back from me, and that love being sent right back to you. Until next week, you all have a fabulous week. Much love from me to you. Bye-bye.